Hello to all my fantasy readers. I'm so excited to talk to Suzanne Frank today about something with mermaids I've literally never heard or thought of in my life. So we're going to dive into that in a second. First, I want to point out that I'm in my messy bedroom without a made bed. It is the end of the day. I think all my makeup is worn off. I'm in my hiking clothes. This is going to be the funnest chat ever because it's just so natural, right? So I'm excited to dive in. I write a lot of fantasy around dragons. I love dragons. I love witches. I love magic. But Suzanne is a mermaid woman. And I am so excited to dive into this because it's yet another magical creature that we can talk about. And she has got an angle on mermaids I guarantee you've never heard before. So Suzanne, when we were talking about mermaids and how they're different and how they're starting to trend upward in fiction and how they're rising. And you said you had an idea why. So tell us why this crazy thing about mermaids that you love and you think it's part of the reason mermaids are starting to trend.
Well, I think it deals with agency. It is a world in which women get to choose, women control, and I think that has been the fear that men have had about mermaids all along. I mean, if you want to look at metaphor and subtext, is that they decide. And I think the reason why it's become so popular now is because that is where women are going, is like, wait a minute, I can choose for myself. I can make my own decisions. I can build my own life. Um, and I can take you down and drown you if I need to. So,
Oh, I love
that
women.
might be slightly more violent, but really not, no. And that is the dark side of the mermaid story,
Yeah.
is that, they're kind of murdery.
Yeah, I guess maybe I have Little Mermaid on my mind, right? So how real is Ariel to how mermaids are usually represented in fiction? I mean, I don't know. Is Little Mermaid really about agency? I've never thought about it.
And I would suggest that actually The Little Mermaid is much more of a patriarchal view
Oh,
of the mermaid legends. So all of the things, and most fairy tales, especially during the classical period of fairy tales, are designed to try and show how dangerous life can be if you step off the path, if you
mm,
disobey, I mean, they're all to keep you behaving and nice and going from obedient daughter to obedient spouse to obedient old woman to dead. And so a lot of, and that was really one of the changes that Disney made recently, is okay, all of a sudden our princesses and our females are going to start showing agency.
mhm.
Um, to a degree, you could say that Ariel does, because she disobeys.
Yeah.
Um, but on the other hand, she suffers the punishment literally of, you have no voice. And
Interesting.
and so, yeah, if you start looking at this thing
Yeah.
metaphorically, it's but those were,
Literally my
as I was writing, that's that is those were all the considerations I had as I was looking at building a mermaid story.
mhm.
Is really, if women were in charge, what would the culture be like? If these were the parameters, and my mermaids, because my story isn't about a girl who is kind of bopping in and out of, I'm in high school and now I'm in the water and now I'm in high school. It is
Mhm.
underwater for a lot of the story. And so the women that she's with, because mermaids have lives of 300 years, are from all different cultures and all different backgrounds and all different time periods. And so they have
Oh.
that. So yeah, it takes diversity to a whole nother level.
That's amazing. Well, and what a
um,
wonderful thing to have in YA right now anyway, right? Like there's such a huge push to really diversify YA and you're doing it in a totally different manner. So this immediately called to mind, what about mermen? Like do you have any mermen in your books?
I do, but when you look at the legends, it seems more that mermen are spawned instead of
Oh, okay.
another form of being created. So
Oh, so the legend, does that start with like a woman becoming a mermaid? Or is it like, are they born into being?
Um, so if you look at the, this may be a longer answer than you want, but when you look at kind of the hierarchy of when mermaid legends started being collated, it was at a time when the hierarchy of the world, of the universe, of society, everything was king, courtiers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's why there was the king of the sea, all of these kinds of things. And so mermaids were his daughters. So that part
Mhm.
is definitely the whole Ariel thing.
Mhm.
So they were created as mermaids.
Interesting. That's amazing. So then how do you, so you wrote this amazing book and the cover is so delicious I could eat it. Like, oh my gosh.
Most gorgeous cover.
That
Yes.
cover,
Yes.
every time I see it, my heart just grows 3 sizes. I think. Um,
I actually made a coloring book page of it,
oh, so
for
smart.
for
Like,
fans.
like to mimic the amazing color of it because the color scheme in it is, it's done by Jenny Zemanek of Seedling Designs. So amazing. She's like the most talented person on the planet.
She
Um,
is ridiculous.
so good. She represented that so well. So in your book, because it starts out, it's I've read the beginning. I'm working into it now, but it starts out really intense, like a normal like teenager. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but she's on land, right? And then she finds out she's actually a mermaid. So is it like in her DNA?
Can I say
Can you answer
spoiler
without
alert?
giving the book away? Yeah, okay. Then don't answer. Don't answer. Don't spoil the book.
um, but the book is not. So this is the first one, or the first part of a massive book, and it looks at all the elemental worlds, and so the other character who is in is starts out on land, but he fire ghost. So they are the creatures who live in the tectonic world, which is where the fire loves water kind of thing comes in. Opposites attracting off the charts.
Yeah, because your
So
book is
yeah,
titled "When
so
Fire Loves Water." So, in case anyone hasn't seen that, it's titled "When Fire Loves Water." So, okay, so that's right, from what I've read. So you have some, because I hadn't heard of this fire ghost world before either. Did you make that up, or is that also?
yeah, I kind of made it up. I put it together from a lot of different legends around the world, and really kind of based it on a lot of Indonesian mythology.
Cool.
But yeah, it's I have a thing for bringing cultural stories together and finding the sort of synthesized moment of them. And so Atlantis is also a factor. So
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like there's all these books you have to buy just so you can look at it all the time, but then it's written so well because this isn't like your first foray into publishing. You have other books that have been like traditionally published, so it just reads so well as well. And then it's all these amazing underlying themes, like with mermaids and all these other ones. I just think it's so cool. So I appreciate you
thank
sharing
you.
just a little bit more about mermaids. Is there anything, because so much of my readership, I'm like just obsessed with dragons, and so I'm always pushing dragons at them. But I have this big magical world of antebellum that I've created, so I'm always trying to find ways to expand that with new magical creatures. And mermaids had caught my eye, so that's the other reason I was so excited to talk to you about it. Right? Is there any other really cool thing about mermaids that you've noticed or found, like as you've kind of gone into the world, so to speak?
So I think that when you so yeah, mine is probably more science fantasy. So I try to make everything as factually based, if you can believe that, as possible. So it's not magic. It's really, really advanced science, but a lot of those elements are in creatures that we have. I think that's
Mhm.
one of the things that makes science fiction fantasy so believable and feels so grounded, is when it's like, oh, wait a minute, they can do that? Well, actually, a zebrafish can regrow its fin, so why couldn't, and when you see fish turning camouflage, that's something that the mermaids could do, or turning bioluminescent. Um,
Okay.
So all of a sudden it was like, you don't need superpowers, you just need to be like supernatural, and and access all of that, and it becomes so amazingly cool, because a magical world, I think, is a whole different reality,
Mm,
and has a different structure when you're building the world,
yeah.
and so because the things I love are mythology and archaeology and history, for it to be more rationally based,
Yeah.
um, but just as fantastical. The quote, I'm sure you know, from Asimov, where he says, for any society, uh, to meet a society that has an advanced enough magic, or advanced enough science, it would feel like magic. So
I
I
was
think
going to mention
that
that. Yeah, I was
covers
going to
a
say,
lot of ground.
yeah, that was the exact like quote it called to mind. I was like, yeah, so it really is all magic. I mean, if you think about it relatively, like the people that lived in 1810, looking at our life right now, this would all be magic. Like heat that just comes out of our vents, like water that
Oh
comes
yeah.
from up, like they couldn't even dream it up. And I'm sure 200 years from now it would be the same. So I love, that's just such a cool take on mermaids I never thought of either, is actually this is all rooted in science. I've just pulled them together because it makes it, yeah, it's just different, because it's not like, oh, it's just magical. Like, no, actually, like it's,
Yeah.
I don't want to say fishy, but it's more like
You've been thinking the entire time, how
I
do I work fishy into this?
fishy in that it's based off of reality, right? So it's like
Yeah.
not this magical world, it's actually our world, and not entirely implausible if you take in some of these factors. So that's so cool. Well, I
Yeah, all
appreciate,
those t-shirts that say, we've only explored 2% of the ocean, you can't tell me mermaids aren't real.
I definitely want that t-shirt. We should, do you have that t-shirt? We should get it for
I
you.
don't have that t-shirt. I need that t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then have the book jacket on it, because it is the most beautiful book jacket.
I know, because you'll literally sell the book just from the shirt, because people are going to love the cover. So good. Well, I appreciate all those thoughts on mermaids, because I literally never would have thought of those myself. So tell us a little bit about your book that explores these themes and stuff. You just launched it. It's When Fire Loves Water. Where can we find it? Do you you have like a freebie on your website, right?
I do. So if you go to jsuzannefrank.com, you can sign up to get the first 3 chapters for free.
So good.
And then it is available on Amazon under the name When Fire Loves Water. And what is it about? It is about 2 teenagers who find themselves on opposite sides of an epic war between fire and water. And none of the elementals have the capacity to ask why, like, why is this happening? Why now? What's going on? But they do. And it turns out that what's happening is not natural. And so this is the start of them kind of unraveling who they are and what their purpose is in life and what they mean to the world.
Oh my gosh, I got the chills. Just even like the title, When Fire Loves Water, it's like I'm instantly like, what? That whole opposite thing you like pulled into your title so well. Amazing. Well,
So
thank you
that
so
is a
much.
Rumi quote that says, how will the world change if fire left water?
Oh, and that's in your
Um,
book, right? Isn't that like, yeah, I was like,
that's the frontispiece.
I've seen that. Well, you did amazing. It's so well written. Such a good
Thank
book.
you.
I'm excited to hear what people think about it, because I have some amazing readers in here that read so fast. I'm sure they're going to snag it up. And
Oh, please do, because as a first-time uh, independent author, I need reviews. So
yes,
please read and please review. And go check it out, the free chapters at jsuzannefrank.com.
yes, we got it. Well, thanks so much, Suzanne. I'm sure that we'll probably be hearing more from you.
Thank you, Katie.